today we have amongst us Ankit Jhamb, who has he's a chief learning officer from Grant Thornton, and he has around 15 years of work experience. So he has authored around 3 books, and these are best-selling books. I got a chance to look at it, and I'm really interested to read more about them as well. And I hope the coaches who are avid readers, please go through them. Very interesting books on about psychologically evolved stories. At the same time, Ankit also runs a foundation called the Yaqeen Foundation. That's the philanthropy side of Ankit. And I think these are hidden facts that are not mentioned out there about him, but he is a package in himself. So I look forward to knowing more from you, learning more from you, because every one of us who are present here today, including myself, we all were coaches, we all were learners at a time. So I personally look really forward to this session, and just setting some ground rules for everyone before I put the floor across to Ankit over here is that we will be having a Q&A session at the end of it, but the floor is definitely open for questions. So you can add the questions in the chat box as and when, I will of course stop Ankit and I will ask him to answer those questions whenever possible. So let's make the most out of this session. So over to you, Ankit. Thank you so much everyone for joining, and let's begin.
Thank you so much, Paushali. That's a fantastic name, and nobody's ever called me a package before, but I genuinely enjoyed it. I think that's a very nice way to compliment somebody. I'm going to use it somewhere. So thank you so much for that. People, thank you for joining in. I know this is 7 p.m. I don't know how 46 people have joined, but you must be genuinely diligent learners to be able to make time at the hour when most people are either trying to drink or eat or planning to sleep or put the kids to sleep. But thank you so much for joining. I hope the next 1 hour I get the opportunity to add some value in your lives. If not, then forgive me. I'm putting the disclaimer up front. When Ashish told me that what are you going to talk about, and we were discussing about we should talk about corporate L&D, we should talk about, I get very scared when these days somebody asks me that, how does the future looks like to you? I genuinely get very scared, and I get scared of sometimes thinking about future, because whatever we've gone through in the last 3 years just makes me very apprehensive to plan things in life. Plus the humble beginning to the long answer also is nobody knows. We don't know how the world is shaping up. It's almost like chasing a unicorn. Sometimes I tell people that wherever you are, whatever you're trying to build or do, you're trying to chase a unicorn. You've seen unicorn in dreams, in images in your heads, but you've never seen unicorn in reality. Because things are changing so fast, because the past trends do not indicate the future of tomorrow, because the pace of how things are shaping up is so dramatic and drastic that you and I don't know that somebody at this point of time in Silicon Valley might be planning to change our lives. In the next 6 months, we realize whatever we've learned in the last 2 years is now bloody redundant. That's how my career journey has been. I've spent a little more than 15 years in the space of learning and development, really passionate about learning and development. So when you guys talk about coaching, I feel the passion. And sabka sapna tha that everyone has to become a chief learning officer, and I became one. And then now when the world expects me to have all the answers, I join my hands and I tell them I don't have all the answers. But when you don't have answers for the future, you take steps for today, and you take those baby steps with the hope and intent that someday they'll compound to a larger vision, larger outcome. The fundamentals of doing good never changes. The fundamentals of understanding people never changes. What do people want? What are they going through? Those questions have been permanent, etched in the history of humanity. Until the time you're asking those questions, you will never go wrong. So I've also asked those questions to myself as a L&D professional. And this is exactly, Ashish, thanks to you, I've also prepared for my panel in Economic Times. The 14th of July, I'm talking to ET at their Future Skills Conference. And they're also trying to discuss that, are we there from a CLO point of view or not? And these are some of my thoughts. In the corporate L&D space, and it will be applicable to you as well. You might be running a startup, you might be doing your own gig, you might be running your own freelance organization. There are at least 4 challenges which all of us are facing. Some we've answered in the past, some we've not been able to answer still. The first challenge is like a ghost which has followed us since the beginning of humanity, is how will L&D prove ROI? Somebody fell in love with the term ROI, somebody created the term ROI, and it was given to L&D professionals to answer, and let me accept, we've done a horrible job of it. Our ROI definitions were participation, penetration, customer feedback, training participant feedback, but because of pressure, limelight, money, attention being given to skills, the CEOs are asking a fantastic question. And I've been asked this question last week. He said, Ankit, you want me to invest X dollars in learning tech, which is the LinkedIn learnings of the world, Coursera's of the world. I understand you will prove there is a people ROI. What is business ROI? And I was silent. I had to be true to my profession. So I said that I don't have an answer for that. Am I saying there is absolutely no ROI? Of course not. Is there a statistical model available? Of course not. Is there a sales pitch answer which I can give you? Of course, yes, but I'm not going to. Because for the first time, I took a stand and I said that only investing in a technology will not fetch you an ROI. You will have to build an ecosystem. In 3 years, in 4 years, we'll look back and we'll see our people behave better, differently than before. And the contribution would have been learning tech. So I said, if you only want business ROI for learning tech, we're far from that. Even learning tech organizations, they also don't know how to measure business ROI at times. So all of you will face that fantastic question if you've sold L&D ever, and if you run L&D organization shops, ROI kya hai? ROI kya hai? Embrace that question, because that question is going to haunt you more. Okay. Also embrace the fact that we don't have all the answers. We can't fudge statistical numbers. You can show correlation with net promoter scores. You can show correlation with people voice surveys. But when it comes to a point of view of translating that in terms of revenues and cost saved and time saved and chargeability per hour increase, new clients created, and establish a correlation with an L&D ecosystem, we have work to do, people. We genuinely have work to do. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is I see this as a acronym which is called as, there is a problem with scalability of solutions. There is a problem with sustainability of solutions. There is a problem with affordability of solutions, and there is a problem with agility of solutions. Let's try and break these problem statements. Sustainability, because tomorrow COVID hits and I take away the L&D budgets. How will your learning tech survive? How will I survive? How will the solution survive? Do we go back to the conditioned response of running those stupid 4-hour, 3-hour open house programs and giving people the lollipop that this is L&D for you because we don't have money? So sustainability of solutions. In an unpredictable environment, our challenge right now is creating a solution which is sustainable. Okay. And somebody's calling. The second challenge here is that in 3 months, we hired 1,500 people. 3 months, can you imagine? There are organizations in 6 months, they'll hire 3,000 people, 4,000 people. Scalability of solutions. So if you're drafting an L&D strategy and you have to do rapid upskilling of 3,000 people, how many external trainers will you take? How many learning user IDs will you take? So the solutions in the market inside corporate L&D have to genuinely become scalable. And that's where mobile learning helps. And that space still needs to get cost optimized because it's not affordable for everyone. And then your biases would come, acha, itna kharcha hum leaders pay karenge. And the feet on the street or the bottom of the pyramid, they don't get the cream because we don't have the budgets. So sustainability, scalability. The third bigger deal is affordability. your potential to sell also sometimes is minimal from a training organization side, and my potential to sell to my CEO is also limited because it's not affordable. If I'm expecting a learning budget of 10 CR in a year, and I say that 3 CR invariably has to go into learning tech solutions, the question is 30% of learning budget is getting invested into something on which you are telling me that there is no direct ROI. So affordability of solution is also a problem. And the final one is agility of solutions. This mix of physical and digital and virtual, I don't think in a hybrid workplace we've been able to crack that code, that how are people learning. We are going through an identity crisis as organizations and as workforces. We call ourselves hybrid, but remember, the conditioned learning behavior is still that old. Classroom, we'll get a calendar invite, we'll go meet a person who talks great, who looks great, who'll jazz everything up, who'll charm us with his words, and that's our curriculum. Or we go to a business school, study there for 10 days, 15 days. Slow migration is happening that we can learn digitally. And you might think that, Ankit, that migration is like a bomb blast. Absolutely no. Coursera, adoption rates are only 40%. On an average, an individual will apply for 20 courses in a year and would only complete 8. So you realize the learning intent erosion. And that's the term I coined for myself to make myself understand that that is my learning intent erosion. I had the learning intent to take 20, but I do 8. The 12 got eroded. And which is destroying ROI for Coursera, for organizations, because the organization at some point of time say, hey, people registered for 5,000 courses, they're only taken 1,000 courses. And half of them have left with a what degree out of this. This is like a business school. People get admitted into the school, they study, they go outside, they get better jobs. What are we doing? And that raises an important question, that where is the affordability, scalability, sustainability, and most importantly, agility? Our workforces also at this point of time are confused कि हम कौन हैं? हम घर से काम करते हैं. You guys are comfortable with Hindi, right? I can do Hindi, English. Ashish, am I allowed?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Of course, of course.
Yes, of course.
So people are also confused that what do we do? In some pockets in an organizational culture, you will have preference towards physical. In some pockets in the same organization, people would want to come to hybrid. So you realize what goes for a toss. The learning behaviors goes for a toss. Classroom sessions are not happening because it's hybrid. We have not given them anything from a virtual point of view because we don't have the money. So organizations are confused that how do people learn? I mean, now you can't leave everything to the appetite of achieving moksha. अभी मेरे को मोक्ष चाहिए तो मैं कैसी भी तरह ले लूंगा. But that's not true. That's not how workforces happen. So learning behaviors, how an organization learns, is in a state of confusion. And nobody knows how to crack that code because we haven't been able to crack that code as an organization, as a fraternity of corporates, to balance and define what hybrid means. Okay, so that's where the takeoff point is. Do we have answers to this? Yes, but I'll come back to those later. Now to the question, where do we see ourselves 5 years down the line? Okay, a part of it has already happened, but exactly after 5 years where I am in my role, in my current capacity, L&D function can be made redundant. I am not needed. Trainers are not needed. Coaches will be required. You can ask professionals with expertise, such as you, to play a gig with an organization, provide very specific niche interventions, because everything else is driven either by an LXP or you will be driven by learning tech. And by that time, hopefully we would have learned how to manage learning techs. You would need a solution architect. It's pretty much like an IT organization there. Then usko solution kaise banana? तो वो यूजर मैपिंग करेगा, डिजाइन थिंकिंग लगाएगा, 100 तरह के यूजर पर्सोनास हैं, basis that these are learning preferences, x number of people consume information this way, y number of people consume information that way. You need solution architects. And it's scary. You know why? Because 90% of people, or maybe 100% people, started L&D for the joy of delivering a training. That's it. And I'm confessing it. I had no idea how to run a practice. Okay. I might manage a practice of 5 CR and 10 CR and manage a budget of 20 CR now, but that's 15 years. Did I start with the aim to become a CLO? Yes. Why? Because it was glamorous. Okay. Because I wanted a bloody cabin to myself and I would be rich, honestly. My first year of an organization, training delivery is a glamorous job. It's what I need to do. Good communication skills, great knowledge of psychology. I can talk, I can enamor the audiences. Trainer. The entire L&D fraternity started out either as a process trainer, voice and accent trainer, soft skill trainer. They came from hospitality, hotel management. There is no breeding ground for L&D architects. Even TIS XLRI does not have a course to create L&D professionals. They'll create HR professionals, but there is no one creating L&D professionals. L&D professionals, they are created by the stroke of luck and by the passion you have for delivery, which is now redundant. So if you talk about corporate L&D, am I delivering? Absolutely no. Are my people supposed to deliver? Only 20% of the job. Their performance evaluations are basis. Only 20% of weightage is their performance training delivery. Everything else is solutioning. Everything else is understanding business currents, is business partnering, is giving business that comfort that we'll conduct this intervention for you, and then we buy, procure, do whatever we have to do with organizations such as yours. And that raises a big question in corporate L&D's life. You don't have that skill. Have you ever seen an L&D guy talking numbers? मैं आपको litmus test देता हूँ. Have you ever seen an L&D guy good with Microsoft Excel? Till a large period of my life, I used to meet L&D professional और मैं उनसे पूछता था कि भाई तुम्हें VLOOKUP आता है या नहीं? क्यों? We were trainers, we were designing content. I had no idea, and I could empathize. We say, boss, yeah, that's the issue of my life also. But we were never supposed to run analytics. We were never supposed to understand tech. We were never supposed to understand people experiences, learning experience. Just one second. We were never supposed to understand what is chargeability, what is GP, what is net profit. No, but now you're supposed to do that because that's the language which everyone's expecting us to talk. And that's a huge, huge shift. Now, what's in it for you? You need to learn that language. Because if you talk to me in a language that, listen, I'm a great trainer, you say, मेरे को भी पता है, मैं भी बहुत बढ़िया trainer था, वो नहीं चल रहा है अब. You tell me how will you prove analytics? You provide me the tech platform. You provide me, have you done change management with different clients? Can you give me implementation support? Of course, your subject matter is extremely important. But if you're an entrepreneur, if you're running an organization, you are in a role which is over and above your coaching role, it's your job to think like a techpreneur. And swear to God, I was horrible with tech. But swear to my profession, I'm getting brilliant with tech. Not that I can design an AI and design a bot, but no, I understand the application. And that shift for you and for everyone is extremely important. See, even if when you are on the coaching platform, and I've seen that platform, it's fantastic. Your own orientation towards tech gets tested. Sometimes you feel uncomfortable listening to a recording because you are so tuned to getting a stroke or validation in person that आपको लगेगा यार ये क्या बकवास है, ये मैं क्यों सुन रहा हूँ ऐसे. But that's the challenge of digital dexterity, where in our heads, at an individual level, at an organizational level, we are unable to blend tech with people issues. So either we are lopsided towards tech, where we're running the show on analytics and tech platform, and we're not talking software issues, or we've just not learned to use tech and analytics and embed it into the flow of work and reporting, dashboarding, and decision making. So that's a challenge where corporate L&D is moving towards. Coming back to what it looks like after 5 years. So L&D as a concept will go away. Okay, I think the first place to go away, इसको HR से ही निकाल देंगे. ये तुम्हारा कोई काम नहीं है. HR as a community itself is becoming, see, HR se khud HR काफी निकल गया है. Ops gone, analytics dashboard gone, center of excellence took half the work. HR structures are HRBPs. HRBPs will take care of your L&D needs and responsibilities if they are groomed well and if they do it well. You will have very shortened, truncated L&D teams which will not have delivery engines. All of this can be outsourced provided it's affordable. The onus of learning will suddenly migrate to learners. That shift has started. In some organizations, we still believe that we have to push people, so send 20 reminders, bring people into the classroom. Even for implementation of a tech platform, you have to drive this aggressively. Your user ID activate, activate, 15 mail aap bhejte ho. But in 5 years, all of this is going to be gone. I see gamification as a trend taking over because it drives people engagement better. At least that's what academia is debating right now. I see democratization of learning happening. The organization will not be able to dictate what you should be doing. The organizations will tell you the OKRs. And the goals these days are, they have a new name, which is called as objective and key results, where people using analytics and tech will focus on quantifying clearly what are the objectives and key results which are expected out of you. जब आपको जिंदगी में वो पता लग जाता है, which is a problem in corporate L&D, then half the trouble is solved. Right now, if you've ever worked in an organization and if you've ever seen a typical goal sheet, a goal sheet would look like the most vague statements ever existing on planet Earth. And that's a bigger challenge. You can teach smart goals, you can teach unsmart goals, you can teach whatever acronym, but nobody's followed the specificity of a smart goal. There's a do excellent job in project management. Ye feedback aaya. You said the other guy is thinking, what the hell is this? Do at least 3 cross-pollinated industry projects. Okay, ye goal aaya. Now people are thinking, oh, isme iska kya matlab hai? But if this gets replaced by OKRs, which is objectives and key results, then kahani solved. You know why? Because all LMS will get replaced to some extent by an LXP. We are hitting a time where there is going to be predictive analytics, mapping my user persona, comparing it with other people in the industry, giving me a benchmark that Ankit, your people at this point of time, people like you in the organization, outside the organization have these dominant 5 skills. You, basis your performance appraisal, seem to be lacking in these 2 skills. This is your training need identification. Why don't you draw a learning path? Here is a learning path which is tied to your performance evaluation system. Here are the 5 courses. Every goddamn thing which my people were supposed to do will be run by LXP, LMS, or AIML. It's already happening. That's what Degree is trying to do. The more data rich which we become, the artificial intelligence will grow smarter. 5 years data, 7 years data, 10 years data. Somebody has just to integrate all of this. That's where we are heading. So right now you can rank me basis my organization, basis my industry, but like Business English Index is already existing where it will tell you that India ka Business English Index out of 10 is 6.57. Oxford does this kind of a job. It will happen. Skill proficiency mapping will happen at all levels. So L&D goes for a toss. And then the democratization learning principle is you don't teach and tell the learner what they want, how they want, when they want. They will decide, which is anyways happening. I have people who don't take learning courses, but they listen to podcasts of the same topic, which we are trying to teach them. You launch a session on mental resilience, horrible participation. Okay. But you do a survey, what do people read most? Mental resilience. You see the dichotomy, you see the contradiction here. Why? Because they don't want to do it when I'm asking them to do it. They don't want to do it where I'm asking them to do it. They don't want to do it with whom I'm asking to do it. They want to listen to Naval Ravikant. Abhi main usko nahi la sakta na. They want to listen to Ankur Variku, they want to listen to who's that guy, Ranbir Bicep, Beard Biceps. They want to listen to some social influencer talking Gaur Gopal Das. So you can't dictate that. All you can do is create an ecosystem where you curate a content. You have multiplicity, variety, features, and then let people decide their own learning. That's where corporate L&D is looking at. So there is an element of gamification, there is an element of democratization, there is an element of complete lack of micromanagement from human resources. You build an architecture and then you put people into this. You make it easy, accessible, affordable, scalable for people, and then let the magic happen. Will it happen for everyone? Of course not. There are organizations I know, they don't know what competency framework is. Okay, no offense. There are organizations I know, I when I consult, I tell them, do you have a TNI? Wo kya hota hai? And then you have to explain training need identification. Then they again ask you, wo kya hota hai? Then you have to simplify it further. Basically, a paper jisme likha ho ki kisko kya nahi, wo to nahi. We're doing some similar project for a government body. So that pocket will always be there where maturity model point of view, we're not there. It's like home automation. आप किसी भी घर में रहें, बड़े सालों तक आपका पंखा बटन से ही चलेगा, फोन से नहीं चलेगा अभी. For that, you have to install a mindset here and install a different hardware if you want to automate and integrate your air condition, your fans, your tube lights with technology, and you want them to remember your preferences. All of that's, by the way, possible. And a funny example here is of a shit pot. If you are in Delhi, you should go to a hotel called as Lodhi Hotel. It's a great hotel. It has a private pool, and the shit pot is digital. So it would remember at what position I sit. Okay, great tool, fascinating. Okay, it remembers. Maybe it'll give you a dashboard also, a shitty dashboard. But what do I do with it? You ultimately have to shit. And that's the analogy which fits well in a lot of other organizations. They're still struggling with LMS. They're still struggling with the basic roti kapda makan of L&D. So in India, the variety and the spectrum of corporate L&D is so wide. One hand, you have Accentures of the world and consulting firms like ours of the world talking gamification, behavioral sciences. On the other hand, there are SMEs and MSMEs of the world. Which is the solution to connect? It's the affordability and the scalability solution. Those are the players which will win in the market because they can scale up, they can scale down, they can cater to need X, need Y, because they have that length and breadth. Okay, financial side, funding is not the solution at all, but that's a separate discussion altogether. Organically, people will have to get to a point of scalability. So that's where corporate L&D is. Democratization, gamification, onus on the learners. तुमको जो करना है तुम करो. बच्चे बड़े हो गए हैं, उनको भेज दो, उनको जो सीखना है सीखने दो. You're no one to dictate. That's how it looks like. Impact of tech. That's where the devil actually sits. If you see what's happening in the organizations right now, we are at a very confusing state. I have 5 portals to log into. Officially, I have 5 more personally. 10 portals or 10 mobile applications. I'm dead in the head. मेरी आधी जिंदगी username, password document करते हुए निकलती है. And specifically in organization setup, you will have, let's say, Vani, hopefully, you will have LinkedIn, you will have an HRMS tool, you have a survey tool, you have one more tool. And then you start thinking that this is leading to fatigue. Because here is my laptop, here is my work, and here are 10 tools. I need to go here for expense, I need to go here for my performance evaluation, I need to go here for my timesheets, I need to go here for all of this needs to come together. Otherwise, people will stop using and they'll start raising hand that we are going through tech fatigue. And it's already happening. It is called as digital fatigue because उनकी जिंदगी में Instagram भी है, Facebook भी है, LinkedIn भी है, Snapchat भी है, Clubhouse भी है, and so many other things. It is causing tech fatigue. Now, what will happen is it will start embedding in your life. What is embedding in the life? My Outlook calendar, listen to the story. My Outlook calendar has 5 meetings for Monday. Outlook calendar knows one of them is a sales pitch. Outlook calendar is married to the LMS, LXP. Okay. Before the meeting, I get a nudge. Hey, I think you have a negotiation coming up. Do you want to quickly see a 2 minutes video? Embedded in my life. Okay. I come back and a survey comes to me through my LMS that how did you think you presented? And the survey has tone of voice, pitch. It can also go to my performance manager who was there with me. And then Vani comes in and says that, hey, we have a coach. I think you are facing some problem in being assertive. That's the feedback, which just-in-time feedback embedded in the flow of life. As I'm working, as I'm evolving as an individual, as I'm meeting people and creating value in my job, learning is getting embedded. So you get notification. That's hyper-personalization of learning. It's like Netflix. Like if you go watch any movie in Netflix, hopefully you know hyper-personalization. It'll map, it'll track, and then tomorrow onwards, it'll offer you similar suggestions. Like people like yours also see this, like you also see this. So if you see Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, you see Lucifer, then it'll give you a recommendation that aap ye bhi dekh sakte. Okay. That will start to happen. I'm heading for a promotion because goal sheet says so, performance evaluation sheet says so. During the year, LMS gives me a nudge that, Ankit, this is an important year. Every user is an entity. Right now, assistant managers and below is an entity. No, technology will enable that every user is a persona, and every persona has a goddamn different need of life or profession, and we'll cater to that using technology. Okay, that's the impact of tech on our lives. That's how tech is going to evolve and embed itself into the flow of work. Right now, we are at a very difficult stage because there has been an explosion in HR tech, in L&D tech, in ed tech. And people are making purchase decisions out of FOMO. FOMO, fear of missing out. Why? Because, अरे यार, वो बगल वाले ने LinkedIn ले लिया, वो Coursera ले लिया, Udemy ले लिया. We also have to, sorry, no sponsorships here, but just raising relevant questions. You can't make purchases out of FOMO. But people are making, there is panic purchase happening. Because the pulse survey and the employee survey says there's no learning happening, we need focus on learning. People don't have the answer to that. Hence, the easy answer is let's just put something and give people 15,000 courses. And you realize 15,000 courses, wow. एक आम आदमी एक साल में 40 घंटे से ज्यादा ट्रेनिंग आवर्स नहीं ले सकता है. 15 years of my life, I've never seen more than 60% of population in an organization achieving more than 40 hours. If you are not taking more than 40 hours, what will the 15,000 course do? Nothing. It's just a fullness illusion. हमारे पास बहुत choice है. And I might be sounding very critical here, but I think it's time that the ecosystem of L&D professionals help each other make wise choices. Help each other. Sometimes, sometimes I prefer when somebody is selling something to me, he backs out and he says, Ankit, I don't think aapka samay aaya hai. I don't think this is the right time for you to invest in this product. I genuinely appreciate that. Rather than force fitting everything and say, nahi, aap jo bolo hum kar denge. Either you create FOMO or you force fit a solution. Both are going through a challenge in the space of tech. So when it comes to technology in corporate L&D, there is a huge skill gap in L&D professionals. There is a huge advisory gap because there are not two people who are advising, because learning tech as a space is new. So either you are techie, you become a learning tech guy, or you're a learning guy who's trying to become a techie. So people are yet to get to a level where they bring balance of both the worlds. And that's the correction which needs to happen in the market very quickly. Organically, it will happen in the next 3 to 5 years, where you will have mature choices. The other thing I think, which is a very simple trend which has to start, is, and I think I was talking to Ashish when I met him also, and some other people, that Grammarly has done a great job, I believe, because you can download a Grammarly plugin and it goes into your Outlook, Word document, wherever, PowerPoint, and it gives me instant nudges to correct. Learning will get to that same point. English is not the only thing. Grammarly also checks emotions if you buy a premium license, and which is what you guys are also trying to do in one way. It's just that it's verbal in nature. That integration of all systems, like I said, is going to be so critical for the user. And for that, you will see design thinking helping and shaping HR and L&D ecosystems. Like, we are trying to contemplate that, should we embark on design thinking to study and create an empathy life cycle? That अगर अंकित झाम एक एम्प्लॉय है, सुबह उठता है, क्या करता है, उसके बाद ऑफिस आता है, कितनी मीटिंग्स होते हैं, किस तरीके का आदमी है, what does he want, and then try and see how technology can play that role. Okay, that's the second part. The third one is, of course, learning engagement. Learning engagement, and this part will again tie up to gamification, and it will tie up to many other things of learning tech platform, engaging employees. But in my view, we are heading towards a learning disengagement problem. And it might be a very melancholy view. See, excess of efforts to engage also sometimes leads to disengagement, and which is what is happening. We'll have to deal with helping our people find a balance. You can't have 100% audiences engaged. You can't have 100% audiences disengaged. So we are heading toward the slump. And sometimes that worries me, because all organizations which deployed learning tech platforms are witnessing a slump. People no more want to do online courses. People no more want to do the Coursera of the world. People no more want to log into their mobile phones and listen to whatever they had to listen to. And that's the feel I'm getting off late. And that's the learning engagement slump. The bigger challenge here is, it's not an L&D challenge. It is a challenge of sense of belonging with the organization. If you can't connect with the place because you virtually joined, you won't connect with L&D interventions, employee engagement initiatives. If you can't connect with the work, आपको लगता है कि यार ये कौन सी अनजानी दुनिया में आ गया, because the acclimatization hasn't happened. And that has become a number one challenge for organization. And how do you create that environment of shared values? How do you create that culture in a phygital environment where somebody is at office and somebody is sitting in his half pants in his bedroom? How do those same people operate on a same operating system? And that's exactly where the work of culture is supposed to be very, very critical. See, here is a concept of human operating system which we follow, and I love the concept. If Ashish and I work in the same organization, it doesn't matter. Ashish works out of Timbuktu, I work out of Alice in Wonderland. Okay, Ashish and I have a same operating system. Okay, like a same OS. What does it mean? His brain and my brain both have been conditioned to deal with judgments. We are both being taught to be present in the moment. We are both being taught to listen well to each other. We are both being taught to at least look at an assumption that he's coming with a positive intent in a conversation. And those are the principles of coaching, of NLP, for those of you who practice. That is human operating system. How do you bring people to that level where they belong to a same human operating system, so that if the operating system is same, the computers can talk to each other. Only then they can talk to each other. If our operating systems are same, our minds are connected. That's the glue called as culture. And that is supposed to facilitate learner engagement. Somebody spoke about gamification, and there is a huge debate that will gamification call learner engagement. I'm telling you, in long term, it will kill more engagement than anything else. ये gamification क्या है? किसी को सट्टाबाजी करके थोड़ी आप सिखा सकते हो जिंदगी में. You're killing the self-drive. Gamification is a gambling for the brain. It is making you dopamine dependent. If gamification is not leading to certification, mastery, proficiency, and badging, and it's not leading to an outcome which is a professional validation, then gamification is just pure play and spoiling emotions. Like you can put a leaderboard there because you're gamifying all of this. You give me 100 coins, 200 coins, blah, 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 blah. Excellent concept. Okay. I'm not debating the concept, but what are you hoping out of? It's a very short-term learner engagement. The brain also becomes neutral and numb to excessive gamification. That's the debate which at this point of time is happening, that is gamification messing up with the self-drive, the appetite to learn? Because it is an externally induced stimulus which is bringing out the desired behavior from me. And the more externally stimulant is injected inside my body, I'm more dependent upon it. It's like alcohol. You put 60 ml mein chadta tha, 121, then 200, blah, blah, blah. So, and beyond a point, it just stops. So if you think that learner engagement ko hum gamify kar denge, excellent idea. Please do it. Let the LXP do it. But please be aware of what are you trying to achieve out of it. If it is not leading to a skill shift, then it's pure glory. I can get into something because for the love of gamification, because mera naam 10 jagah pop up hota hai, I get the liberty to do social show off and social proofing. Great, excellent. But wait for 5 years. Gamification, there is in fact a research paper which has already been published that how gamification is messing up with learning intent. And at the same time, I'm telling you, I have recommended people at tech platforms, and in fact, Ashish and I also had that chat, that isko gamify kar do. How do you strike that balance? And what do you expect out of gamification? Is that clarity needs to be there. Okay. I'm going to take a pause. I have already a lot of questions. Let me try and pick those up. Man, these are so many questions. Wow. Aditi is asking, even though there are LMS in place in most organizations today, there's also a large number of people who need human intervention in classroom training. Self-learning isn't for everyone. How would L&D deal with it? I agree, and LMS's job is just to capture all of this. The world is moving to LXP. Now the debate, the world is moving to social learning. Tiger Hall as an organization say we are a social learning platform. Okay, so LXP bhi purana ho gaya waise. And the answer lies, that's the exact balance. And the balance is not happening, Aditi, because the balance in hybrid workforce is not happening. If the positivity rate in the Delhi goes up 10%, I have to launch an advisory that please work from home. If they work from home, they don't want to do virtual trainings. If they don't want to do virtual trainings, we have to give them Coursera, LinkedIn's of the world. Okay, but after 2 years, we know they won't do learnings on LinkedIn also. So this is where we get stuck, and that's the predicament. If you ask me, Ankit, what is the answer? I'm going to upfront tell you, there is no answer. It's hit and trial. It's hypothesis testing. It is learning from failing, and failing beautifully and miserably sometimes. In spite of we wanting to do physical programs, we've not been able to do. Why? Because of COVID, we had to reduce the real estate, which all companies did. Now the training rooms are gone. Now, the massive training rooms we used to have, they are gone, which means it's an inflection on cost because we'll have to book an external property. Okay, that's an increase in cost. Where does that money go from? From my learning budget. Do I want to spend 25 lakhs for a 3-day program on an external venue, or do I want to buy 25 lakhs mein se kuch intellectual content? I would rather buy some property, intellectual content. I don't want to spend there, but that's a balance issue. You see the predicament, it's too complex a question to be answered. The better tarika is, how can people be taught by role modeling new learning behaviors? For example, I come to office and I bring a book, I'm listening to a podcast. My people watch me doing that. And at least 3 people in the team have started to do that. यार ये सुबह आके ना 10-15 मिनट हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ सुनता है. Embedding learning in the flow of work, that's adopting new learning behavior. I have a diary, I write my reflections there. What did I learn? What did go wrong? Blah, blah, blah. We do just-in-time coaching immediately after the call. If the organization starts to evolve to a point where we learn new agile learning behaviors, progress over perfection, I'm telling you this problem can be solved. But those are my views. And now I will read Nidhi's question. Hi, Ankit, as L&D professional, how do you manage your learners with different learning behaviors during online training sessions? Good questions, Nidhi. Good question, Nidhi. So we're also trying to learn first what are these differences in learning behaviors. We don't have the data. Right now, I only have an intuition, an understanding that बहुत तरह के लोग हैं और बहुत तरह की needs है. Okay, so there is no one solution. But what we are trying to do is every time we are running an online training session, we look at the design and we do an audit. Okay, audit, is it too instructional? Is it too verbose? Is it too loose? Okay, does it have sufficient interactivities? Does it have sufficient brain breaks? So that even if there are 3-4 different kind of learners, let's say there is an abstract learner, there is a reflective learner, there is an experiential learner, there is more concrete. I'm talking about, I think, David Klobb's learning cycle. You make sure that there is enough to play. There is role play, which people can reflect, do something, exercise. Then there is a structure and a framework also. You have a presentation which is completely framework, half of them would doze off. You have a presentation which is completely abstract or a content abstract, you have a problem there also. So till the time you don't get to a point where you know in percentages what are the kind of users, you have to go back to your instructional design, academic knowledge, and design a content which is inclusive of all types of learning preferences. So learning design audit is extremely important there. How do we balance scalability and standardization to deliver a unique client experience which is both individualized and effective? That's a fantastic question, जिसका जवाब हमारे पास आज से 5 साल के बाद भी नहीं होगा. Okay, and it's going to be difficult to answer this at this point of time as well, because that standardization to deliver a unique client experience is itself a big challenge for our client-facing professionals. Delhi is experiencing and offering a different client proposition and experience. Bangalore is offering different client experience. I have started to question, where is the need for a standardization? Is it standardization killing the element of diversity? Why do you even need, why can't it be global? Our communities are so diverse, even in India, in an organization, that it's good to have subcultures and subsystems while there is a larger culture which navigates you. So what if they want to treat their clients differently? So what they want to treat their clients differently? The client value proposition cannot change. The intent and the value system cannot change. You can put a methodology, you can put an SOP to navigate people, but give people that liberty to create a localized experience. That's my view on standardization. It's a multinational concept which is also getting debated at this point of time. Scalability, and I think that's a bigger problem, much bigger problem. Shreya. Expansion of human resources is easy. I can take a team from 1,000 to 3,000 because I can put in money, consultants, they'll hire, we'll do rapid interviews, and we ramp up our workforce. But the source of that 2,000 could come from tier 2, tier 3. It could come from varied walks of life. And then rapid upskilling is a larger concern of scalability, which is exactly where, at this point of time, technology has to play a role. To a large extent, mobile-enabled technology has to play a role. To a very large extent, clarity in lives of people that what could be my learning interventions and how they relate to my performance evaluation. Those answers have to be there. It's not an L&D question. It's a question rooted in L&D, but the answer lies out of L&D, in other systems and processes, how we are looking at a workforce. Aditi, no, this question I answered.
Koel is the next question.
Koel,
What kind of gamification tools a communication coach can use in a session?
See, let me think. See, basic principles of communication are the same. You generate a leaderboard, you do badges. Every action which an individual takes, and Nike running application is a great tool to experience gamification. Everything you do, it is tracked, it is mapped, it is pegged with other people doing the same kind of job. There is a reverse impact on my life, and that is what is applicable to communication coach. That, hey, Ankit, 7 people in your peer group have already been learning, and I think it's time that you buck up. So you create a motivation as a social pressure, using gamification to allow you to show off is a great skill in itself. But if gamification can, I don't know if it's possible, using principles of gamification, you can show me a skill shift. I think that's going to be magical. See, your job as a communication coach is quantifiable to some degree. The impact of communication on my life might be debatable, but my communication skills, whether it is my sentence construction, my accent, neutralization of accent, how I articulate my thoughts, my comfort, all of that is quantifiable. Okay. Our jobs will be to see वो quantification को मैं self esteem से कैसे link करूं. And the people you would be coaching in the next few years will be millennials, hopefully, and some senior leaders, of course. And gamification has that element of appealing to self-image. It's a stupid example I'm trying to give, but imagine when you start communication, there is an avatar which gets created. Your communication index is 210. Okay. The avatar is grumpy. The avatar is unhappy. Okay. जैसे जैसे skill बढ़ता रहता है, the avatar starts to become happy, more confident. Okay. And that avatar is the journey. That can have an impact on self-identity. You know why? Because I used to do theater, and this is specifically for communication. I used to do theater, and I've seen so many good speakers who think they're not good speakers. The problem is not in language. The problem is वो self-image से ना tag नहीं जाता है कि हम खराब speaker हैं. You live under that trauma sometimes, that shadow, that umbrella, that communication has been an issue. And sometimes you speak to people and no, you're just doing just fine. So which means all the effort which you do just does not add up into their self-worth. कि उसको अभी भी लगता है वो वही है. आपने स्किल दिखा दिया, एनालिटिक्स दिखा दिया, उसकी अंग्रेजी ठीक हो गई, उसका आर ड टर सब साउंड ठीक हो, सब अच्छा हो गया. But the ghosts of the past are still there. That's where I believe gamification has a role to play, but a consistent gamification. It's like an alter ego, a confident self, which gets created, which walks with me, reminds me time to time that Ankit, you're there, you can do this. And that's the avatar which can be created. And that's, of course, a gamification principle. These are very difficult questions, by the way. ये सब मैंने भी सोच के नहीं आया था कि you guys will ask me all of this. Ashish, this is not fair. You should pay me for this. You mentioned that in future organizations won't dictate what to learn. I agree, but in that case, how will AI or tech ecosystem help recognize what motivates employees? Because not everyone is tech dexterous. First, if you're not tech dexterous, in 5 years, you will either lose your job or you'll be struggling with your job. Okay, you have to become comfortable with understanding technology. Number 2.
You're a bigger problem than just learning discomfort.
Absolutely. And I'm telling you, I'm a case study of being technologically disabled and now to becoming technologically proficient because it was survival instinct. It's not going away. We're not giving up tech. Okay, nobody's giving up tech. Dictation of learning and how an AI or a tech ecosystem learns would be two separate things. Right now, I am making the learning paths and giving it to people. We'll get to a point where data is getting captured. Analytics are very strong. Data is flowing in from all pockets and it's getting fed into the AI. And moreover, there is a repository of data which is there 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and AI starts to build. It's like a subconscious. It starts to build on it on its own. Okay. With the gig workforce, you will have data flowing from all directions. We are heading into a direction where you will have a Facebook only for gig workforce. ठीक है, आपको data science चाहिए, here is a resource, data science, reviews, analytics, past work can work for you. You will have a transparent, monitored portal of gig workforce where all of us will be impaneled as individuals, no contracts of the world. That data is the data of every goddamn human being who is employable, has a skill, can sell the skill, can sell the time. Now imagine that data. I know we are at about what 130 crore population, 25% is urban population, 25, 30 crores, 30 crores may say at least 15 crores are working for corporates, 15 crore human beings. And when I look at that data from the world population, which is 600 crores, your past, present, and future for 10 years will be predicted if the data falls in right. So L&D dictating or not, it doesn't matter. L&D needs to capture analytics, which is by user mapping, user personas. What kind of people are there is critical. And that data goes into whatever AI ML systems you will have. And Degreed is already doing it. Degreed is an AI ML based platform which is giving you recommendations. It's just that the integration with everything else is not happening. Once the integration starts to happen, once these walls that A company ka workforce hai, B company ka workforce hai, there's going to be a time that wall also is going to go away. And it's already, I mean, the gig workforce is exactly that concept. It's a free talent market. The pandemic has already created a radical shift in perception of human and social capital, which has created a complex learning situation. And to add to that, there's a tech fatigue, absolutely, to manage career aspirations, which are narrowly linked to motivation. How will AI fit in the scenario? Is there a blueprint? My guess, there shouldn't be, there is no, but there is a framework which people can offer. What we don't know, HR L&D, is how to use that learning tech platform or HR tech platform. How will L&D tech will deal with this gap, which has the potential to become as, is it where personal intelligence, that's a long question, I'll have to read it again. Is there a blueprint to many career aspirations? My guess there shouldn't be. How will L&D tech deal with this gap, which has become the potential? Okay, let me take this one. See, first, can L&D tech deal with this gap only? No. Tech will have to deal with the gap. We're doing Salesforce implementation. Salesforce has nothing to do with L&D, okay? But L&D has to drive a solution plan for implementation of Salesforce. L&D, more than tech, first needs to understand business challenges, provide solutions which are workable, and then embed tech into whatever solutions they have to work. Okay. Motivation of an employee, let me draw a correlation, or managing a career, a small subset is professional development. A larger subset, which is a problem, is meaning and purpose in work. People are joining startups and people are opting out of professional careers because someday someone had this epiphany, what the hell am I doing in life? People are going through that. So if we have to give people sticky, stable careers and a career path, skilling will be small component because वो वही skill बाहर से भी जाके ले सकता है और कुछ सालों में फ्री में मिलेगा, cheaper quality में मिलेगा, quantity में मिलेगा. But what might not be available is that meaning and purpose of work. So to the question which you asked, managing career, radical shift in the social capital, I agree with that, but the answer doesn't only lie in providing L&D skills or any kind of a skill. The answer lies in giving people a zone where they find some fulfillment. See, if you interview the millennials, they'll tell you that humko purpose chahiye. We want meaning in life. And if you're my age, which is around 40, when we started working, I had no idea what purpose and meaning is. I was very clear. I want money, stability, good job, koi kaam sikha de, blah, 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 blah. Meaning and purpose we'll figure out later. It's a question you ask when you go to Ladakh and then you contemplate life. It's not a question you ask in corporates. But right now, Ladakh is in corporates. People are questioning what is the meaning and purpose of my job? Why am I doing this? I have people who would complain that, Ankit, my job is only to put VLOOKUPs. And I'm looking at their faces that how they completely miss the point. So the question which you asked is related to that lack of fulfillment which people sometimes go through. As a coach and trainer, my key role is to concentrate on my learner. The multiple platforms we use to interact seem to distract my focus. How do I balance it out in a way I can optimally utilize various platforms without my... Reena, there is no way. It is a symptom of digital... how do I politely put it? Because I went through the same thing when I was doing virtual sessions. I felt I was talking to zombie land. It's a digital struggle. Okay. The more we move ahead in time, the more you will see blend of technology happening in communication coaching, in training delivery. It'll happen. It's like a call center job. You have a system in front of you. You have to do a call. You are great with the call. You're great with English. You can do great rapport, but your hands are very slow on the system. So if you're doing a credit card job, I have to pull out records. And simultaneously, I have to ask you, how are you doing? How's life? How's the weather? But if the system is too slow, then my rapport building suffers because my cognition is going into system. That's what you're facing. It's a typical call center scenario. What is the solution? We don't train the person on communication. No, you give the person process training. You get the hands moving fast on the system. Put him through 10 hours of process training so that the system gets into his unconscious competence, and then his fingers move seamlessly, and then his cognition is free. And then on the other side, when the customer sneezes, the Amex guy would say, you seem to have a bad cough. Is everything all right with you? Is it COVID? And you are thinking, what the hell did he say? Isko, how much he cares for me? But he's unable to do that, which is empathy, because he's struggling with the system. That's what might be happening with you. And that's what happened with me with Zoom and Teams, and still happens. Can you run from it? No. Just sit for a few hours, learn everything about tech exists, learn, play, fidget, make mistakes, and slowly it becomes part of you. It just becomes... Your coaching style will be married to the tech platform, whichever you're using, but don't run from it.
And just a reminder of the time, it's 8:05 already. So let's take the last question, and then we will close the session.
Yeah, fantastic. We only have 2 left. What career path ahead in leadership role is there for me to have an impact on the industry? Fantastic. Yeah. See, if you're a communication coach, I'm telling you, your path is unlimited. If Narendra Modi has a communication coach who can teach him steeple when he goes to foreign engagements, that this is how the steeple has to be, he wasn't born with it. Imagine what you're looking at. I've trained doctors, neurosurgeons on communication. I've had the liberty and the luxury of training politicians. I can't do all of it right now because I'm doing too many things in life, but you don't need a career path. You just need to market, brand yourself, and take yourself to positions and people who need communication coaching, which in India is a lot. If your communication skills are good, I'm telling you, you're goddamn blessed. हिंदुस्तान में अगर आपकी अंग्रेजी अच्छी है और आपका बात करने का लहजा अच्छा है, and you can make a point without making the other person sleep, you are blessed. You have a skill which is marketable. The problem with us is we don't know personal branding. We don't invest in personal branding. We don't know how to pitch business for ourselves. It's easy to pitch business for a company, but when you are the entrepreneur for your own self, your challenge will come from there. People are running massive businesses only by communication coaching. It's going to be so big. and you have no idea. It's not just English, by the way. Okay, the generation. Let me give you some statistics and some insight. 10 years down the line, you will have people who right now are in school. They have no social intelligence because their lives got messed up with Instagram. Debates didn't happen. Outdoor exercises are not there. Social peer learning, where you and I learned English. I learned my accent from a friend from Bangalore. He taught me great English. That influence is not there. Okay, because social connects have vanished. You guys come in. The potential, the market is enormous. You just have to stick to it. You just have to embrace tech. You just have to build a personal brand. I am telling you, you don't career path. Yeah, it's like lesser models for me. Where mera career path kya hai? Entrepreneurs don't have a career path. Yeah? Hemant, with so much imposed learning targets dashboard, do you see a risk of losing learning appetite? And if yes, what can be done? Hemant, of course, there is a risk of learning appetite, losing learning appetite. We are losing, we've lost in pockets because एक थका हुआ दिमाग सीख नहीं सकता यार. And mentally exhausted brain cannot learn. You can't teach a donkey because he's overloaded. You can only load donkey with more skills and he'll still be a donkey. And that's where we are. And if you ask me what can be done, sometimes I also don't know. I can't reduce the work. I can't make their life easier. I can't make the environment easier. US recession is knocking us. They are dropping the interest rates. A global recession is looking at us. It will have an impact on all industries. Startups are getting funded. That is putting pressure on founders to make more money, run the business faster because it's their race to IPO, because they have to show bloated valuations. So the game right now is very capitalistic. And I'm not talking from a spiritual point of view. In that, what is suffering is that noble profession and space of learning. It is suffering. The way out there, as you see, is people will get learning holidays, like people get relief holidays. इससे आपको 2 दिन छुट्टी दिए जाते हैं, आप सीख कर आइए. That's going to come back. People will be packed to ISBs of the world. They will be given few days off. What I recommend is what 3M does, which is the intrapreneurial concept. 20% of my time at workplace needs to be invested into learning interventions, creating new stuff, curiosity. See, learning is not a problem. The death of curiosity is a problem. The brain learns well when it's curious to learn. The curiosity is missing because an overburdened, exhausted brain is not curious. It's already full of a lot of shit. So emptying yourself and bringing curiosity in the organization and in teams and in your lives will sponsor learning. It's the courtship period. A courtship period is the testing time. No, Reena, that's where this relationship stability gets tested. Either it stays or not. But yeah, very rightly put. I like the word courtship. That is all. Okay.
All right, thank you so much. And even after crossing the time, we still have around 44 people sticking around. That says it all, how interesting the session was for every one of us. But before ending the session, I would just like to hear a few words from Ashish, and then I'll wrap it up.
Thank you, Vaishali, and thank you, Ankit. This was a lot, and it'll take some more time to go and digest what you talked about. I think as people who are trying to bring together learning and tech, there are a few things that were reassuring, because either we are already thinking about it or we are already doing about it. And there are a few things where the risk was not as evident. So there is food for thought for all of us. There are 3 things that I am taking back from the session. We will also put together, going back and watch it again and put together a document, circulate it for everyone. The first thing that you talked about, and it made a lot of sense, was that to think about return and investment in learning requires reimagining it at a much larger canvas. Because if we are thinking of small investment and a quick return, possibly this is not the right platform or the right way to think about it. The idea for an organization is to think about a much longer term investment and look at the return at a much longer period. Like L&T does it quite well. When they are investing in learning, they were not thinking about ROI then, but today the ROI is much, much, much bigger than they would have imagined at that point. So the canvas needs to be bigger. So that's one thing that I'm definitely taking back. The second thing that you talked about is how do we arrest the learning intent erosion? That's a question we all have to go back to. Fortunately, my best learning experience has been with Headspace. It does not even claim itself to be a learning tool. Right? It is just helping you manage something. So we have to start looking for what some of these other platforms they're doing, where the engagement is high. There's a lot of peer recommendation happening. There's a lot of virality taking place. It is more aligned with our nature. I feel that we are a little too stuck on the corporate structure and trying to do it. So we're placing the cart before the horse. Possibly we have to start thinking about it differently. So that was a great idea that we picked from here. And the third thing that you talked about, that meaning and purpose becoming important. I feel that that's an area that we need to go deeper. Like Kahneman says that we all are effort minimizing beings unless purpose. And if there's a purpose, then effort does not feel like effort, right? So we have to keep finding ways to offer people that purpose to make this interesting. So this was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. We have taken 15 more minutes and you'll have to wait through the traffic before you reach home. So we won't waste any more.
It was a pleasure. I love doing this. Thank you so much for giving the opportunity. It is, learning is genuinely both ways. Some of the things which I shared and the questions were brilliant, such as the gamification question. Maine bhi nahi socha tha. And it makes me think also. So thank you. God bless you guys. Thank you for this platform.
Thank you.